Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. I am your host. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be discussing a few news stories and also the season finale of Loki. Yes, season finale. I'm getting a little ahead of our news stories. Let's get started with our news stories right now on our segment On Beat. So first up, we have the Emmy nominations. So there's kind of really no better way to handle this than to just kind of go through category by category, say everything that's nominated, and then if there's anything interesting, we'll discuss it once we finish that category. So Emmy nominations came out. First up, Outstanding Drama Series, The Boys, Bridgerton, The Crown, The Mandalorian, Lovecraft Country, Pose, The Handmaid's Tale, and This Is Us. How much of those have you seen, Will?
I saw The Mandalorian, Lovecraft Country, and The Boys.
That's it for me as well.
And I would say out of those, The Boys would be my personal pick. No way in hell is that winning. I would be shocked. As you're going to find out going through this, they seem to really love The Crown. So if I'm going to make a prediction as to what's going to win, it's probably going to be The Crown.
Yeah, pretty much. And probably it's going to sweep in almost all the categories. Yeah. I mean, when you get to the actual actor categories, it's 10 actors from The Crown.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ridiculous. There's basically two very clear favorite shows, and I think, based on the nominations. One in the drama category and one in the comedy category.
And I think this is the only nomination The Boys got for
It might be some in the technical, but we don't have those in front of us, so we don't really.
No, the technical. Yeah, we're not going to be mentioning technical.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything else for The Boys besides the three you mentioned. I've seen a little bit of not the season that's nominated for, but I've seen a little bit of This Is Us and a little bit of The Crown. I've seen the first season of both of those. I can't imagine anything's going to beat The Crown in this. Maybe the only ones I think that stand a chance are maybe Bridgerton, Pose, and possibly Lovecraft Country if it's a political move. That's about it. Those are but it's probably going to be The Crown. Hollywood loves fucking period pieces.
Yes, they do.
And so The Crown it's a decent show, but it's if it wasn't for the kind of Anglophilia that goes on in Hollywood, this would not have swept in the way it has in the nominations here.
Right, yeah, exactly.
As you said, my hope would be on The Boys. That's the one that I would like to see win, but it's not going to happen.
No. Not a show with exploding heads is not going to win an Emmy.
Yeah. Well, that would blow some minds.
Yeah.
Next category is Outstanding Comedy Series, Blackish, Cobra Kai, Pen 15, Emily in Paris, Hacks, Ted Lasso, The Flight Attendant, and The Kaminsky Method. So with The Crown, in the comedy category, the clear favorite based on the nominations going down the list is Ted Lasso.
I heard that was really good.
I've heard so too.
I don't have Apple Plus, so I haven't watched it, but I would like to check it out.
Same here. Which of these shows have you seen?
I've seen Cobra Kai. It's literally it.
Okay, so I've seen Cobra Kai. I've seen Blackish, but not this season. I've seen, the last season, part of the last season of Pen 15, and I've seen The Flight Attendant. The Flight Attendant is the one that I kind of object to being on this list. It's not a comedy. It's literally the majority of the show is
it's
dealing with
a
flight attendant who's dealing with being an alcoholic.
Right.
It's kind of dark. It's she wakes up next to a dead body, and
it's dark comedy.
There is dark comedy in it, but I wouldn't say that that's the category, that doesn't make sense to me. This is one of those ones where they probably wanted to fit it in somewhere, and it really had no chance.
Literally marketed. It was marketed as comedy.
Yeah, I mean, so is Black Mirror.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I'm gonna go with Cobra Kai because that's the show I watched and I enjoy it. It's a great show, far better than I ever expected a Karate Kid revival to be.
Mm-hmm.
if I was voting, that's what I would vote for. Obviously, I'm biased because it's the only one here I watched, but yeah.
I don't really have a strong favorite here. Like, I like Cobra Kai, but like, it's not something that I'd be like, that deserves an Emmy when I watch it, you know?
No, I didn't. Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I never watched Cobra Kai thinking this is Emmy material, but I mean, I could see it.
There's no The Good Place this year for me. You know what I mean? There's nothing that I'm like, yes, this should get it. You know?
There's not always going to be a good place. Come on.
Yeah, I just mean like there's not something that I'm gonna root for strongly. That I'm like, this should win. You know, like I don't have anything that falls in this position. Like I like Cobra Kai. I don't think it's has a chance in hell of winning.
It might be Ted Lasso if I watched it, because it might actually be that good. I just don't know. I've never seen it.
It's probably gonna be Ted Lasso.
I mean, it might actually be worthy of it. You know,
yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. I can't comment on that.
Next category is Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series. Regé-Jean Page, I probably pronounced that wrong, of Bridgerton. Sterling K. Brown for This Is Us. Billy Porter for Pose. Jonathan Majors for Lovecraft Country. Matthew Rhys for Perry Mason. And Josh O'Connor for The Crown.
Again, this is a category where I'm biased because the only show I watched here is Lovecraft Country, and I thought Jonathan Majors was excellent.
Yeah, he's excellent in something else we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
I'd say even better in something else we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, he was great in That's Something Else. But yeah. Obviously, I'm going to go with Jonathan Majors. Who knows if he's going to win this, but that's who I would pick. Again, biased because it's the only show I've watched, but even still, I did enjoy his performance in Lovecraft. So it's like a legitimate, I'm voting for this, not just because it's the only thing I've seen, but because I did enjoy the performance.
If I had to take a guess what the favorites are, I'd say, well, The Crown is the favorite for the whole show. So anybody who's nominated for The Crown is going to be a favorite. I don't even know who Josh O'Connor plays in The Crown, though, so that's not really helpful. The other name that I've seen a lot of talk about is Billy Porter for Pose. He's been getting a lot of attention for that role, so I could see him getting through on that one as well. My pick, though, more than Jonathan Majors for Lovecraft Country, would be Matthew Rhys for Perry Mason, which is like the only other show I've seen this season of, you know?
Yeah, I haven't watched that at all.
But it's really good. It's really good. It's, you know, it's a remake of Perry Mason, basically. And it's Matthew Rhys, who's in The Americans. He's a fantastic Welsh actor. He's really good. And that would be my pick from what I've seen.
He's the son of Dr. Arturo from Sliders. Or Gimli in Lord of the Rings. For like a reference more people would probably recognize.
Is he? I didn't know they were related.
I'm pretty positive, yeah, they are.
It's the same name, so I mean, I guess could be, yeah.
Unless I'm wrong, I could be completely wrong. Feel free to yell at me in the comments of the video or the pod, wherever you listen.
Will is wrong.
Yeah, I'm wrong. Yeah.
Next up is Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series. Emma Corrin for The Crown.
Again,
Olivia Colman.
Two people from The Crown. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Olivia Colman for The Crown. Uzo Aduba from In Treatment. Elizabeth Moss from The Handmaid's Tale. Journey Smollett from Lovecraft Country. And MJ Rodriguez from Pose. So the most interesting thing here is that MJ Rodriguez is the first trans actress to be nominated.
Yeah.
So that's a big one.
Yeah, awesome. That's awesome.
Besides that, the only performance of these I've seen is Journey Smollett in Lovecraft Country.
Yeah. I mean, Journey Smollett is what I would go with. Again, I've only seen her performance. I haven't seen anybody else. I haven't watched any of the other shows on this list, so I haven't seen anybody else's performance to be able to judge.
I mean, I know some of the other actresses I'm really familiar with. I just haven't seen their specific performances that they're nominated for. Olivia Colman's great. Uzo Aduba was great in Orange is the New Black. Elizabeth Moss was great in Mad Men, but I don't really have any experience with what they're actually nominated for, so I can't say anything. Again, we don't watch a lot. There's so much TV now that you have to get kind of hyper focused into what you watch. So a lot of stuff. I think when we first started the podcast, I'd probably seen most of the shows that were nominated. Now it's like,
unfortunately,
I've 10.
There's like 15 streaming services, more popping up every day. There's the traditional networks. It's a lot of stuff. Yeah, unless you spend all day just watching TV, it's hard to consume all this content. So
next category is Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Drama Series. Michael K. Williams for Lovecraft Country, Bradley Whitford for The Handmaid's Tale, Max Minghella for The Handmaid's Tale, O.T. Faj Benel, I don't know, for The Handmaid's Tale. They got 3. John Lithgow for Perry Mason, Tobias Menzies for The Crown, Giancarlo Esposito for The Mandalorian, and Chris Sullivan for This Is Us. Any ones that ring out there for you? Lovecraft Country?
Yeah, I guess. I don't really have a pick for this.
Michael K. Williams was the father in Lovecraft Country, the one that turned out to be gay.
Yeah. That was a good performance. That was actually a powerful performance. Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah, that's good. Again, I know you haven't seen Perry Mason, I have, but I mean, John Lithgow is John Lithgow.
John Lithgow is great, but again, I can't comment on his performance in Perry Mason, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem I was having in the last category, but
I can comment on his performance in season 4 of Dexter.
The only other one we can really talk about though is Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, and I like Giancarlo Esposito, but I didn't think his performance in The Mandalorian was anything special.
I'd go as far as saying it's probably the worst performance I've ever seen him give. And that's not to say and he's still good. It's not like it's a bad performance. No. It's just like, of all of his great performances, this isn't one of them.
Right.
Yeah, you know. So yeah, I mean, of these, I'd probably either go with Michael K. Williams or John Lithgow. Michael K. Williams was genuinely great.
He was genuinely great. Yeah,
we had issues with Lovecraft Country. The one scene where he was in the gay club and he let himself go, and that was a really powerful scene.
His performance is probably actually one of the most powerful performances in the entire show, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't know the actor's name. So that's why I blanked out at it when I saw it. Cause like, I did not know the actor's name. So when you pointed it out, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there are 2 performances in Lovecraft Country that are both nominated. The other one we'll get to later that are genuinely like really great. And that's one of them, I'd say. The other one we'll get to when that category comes up. But our next category is Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series.
3 people from the freaking Crown. I mean, that's absurd. Come on. Well, then there's
Gillian Anderson.
4. Yeah, she's good. I don't know if she's good in the Crown. Overrated.
Hey, Marla Singer, man.
4 people from The Handmaid's Tale. Like, holy shit.
Emerald Fennell from The Crown, Ann Dodd from Handmaid's Tale, Yvonne Straczynski from The Handmaid's Tale. That's, of course, you know, she was in Dexter as well. And Samira Wiley from The Handmaid's Tale, Madeline Brewer from The Handmaid's Tale, and Anjanui Ellis from Lovecraft Country. I'm not even sure who that is in Lovecraft Country. I believe that's the mother.
Probably.
That would be my guess.
She's the mother. She's Hippolyta.
Yeah. That's the only one I could think of that it was. I don't really have any pick here. I guess by default it would be her.
Yeah,
it's the only performance I've seen.
Yeah, again, a good performance. Like, well, that's the thing about Lovecraft Country.
It had some strengths.
The weaknesses, I think, were mostly in the writing. The performances were fantastic.
Yeah,
you could tell the actors like they gave it their all.
Yeah,
and that really showed. So I think these nominations are definitely earned.
Next is Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series. The favorite here, probably, Jason Sudeikis for Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Also, Anthony Anderson for Blackish, Michael Douglas for The Kaminsky Method, William H. Macy for Shameless. I think he's won quite a few of the Emmys, actually. And Kenan Thompson for
And this is the first category where I haven't watched anything, so I can't have a pick. I'm partial to Jason Sudeikis because he's generally funny. I also like Anthony Anderson. Anthony Anderson is really funny whenever he shows up. So, I mean, that's what I'm leaning to, you know, that's again, but I haven't seen these shows. I don't know.
Like you, I haven't seen any of these seasons, at least. Like, I have seen Blackish and I have seen Shameless, but not the season that's nominated. Anthony Anderson's character in Blackish is great. He pulls out a great performance. William H. Macy's character
that guy's like great. Always funny when he shows up.
Yeah. William H. Macy's character in Shameless is great, but I haven't seen their current season, so I have no idea what performances they gave. Like, I got really nothing to say there. I think Jason Sudeikis is going to be the favorite because it's Ted Lasso, and that seems to be getting all the comedy noms.
Yeah.
Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series, Adie Bryant for Shrill, Jean Smart for Hacks, Allison Janney for Mom, Kaylee Cuoco, I don't know.
I believe it's pronounced Cuoco.
Cuoco for The Flight Attendant, and Tracy Ellis Ross for Blackish. The only one I've seen the season for is Kelly Cuoco for The Flight Attendant. She's good. It's a big departure from her role in The Big Bang Theory, which I wasn't too into myself.
Well, I mean, it should be, right? She shouldn't just play the same character and everything.
Yeah, it's a pretty big departure, though. Like, I'm not just saying it's different. It's a pretty big difference, you know?
Right.
And Allison Janney is always good, but I mean, I just think that's like a basic sitcom. I don't know. I don't know too much about that. I've heard good things about Hacks. I actually have it kind of on my queue to watch it. And Jean Smart was amazing in Legion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, she was.
And I haven't seen this season of Blackish, but Tracee Ellis Ross is great in Blackish, so that would make sense too. But the only performance I've actually seen is Kelly Kuka, so that would be my go-to there. I
don't really have a comment for the next two either.
Outstanding supporter in supporting actor in a comedy series. Bowen Yang for Saturday Night Live. Kenan Thompson for Saturday Night Live. Brett Goldstein for Ted Lasso. Brendan Hunt for Ted Lasso. Nick Mohammed for Ted Lasso. Jeremy Swift for Ted Lasso. Paul Reiser.
Can you start to predict what's going to win?
Paul Reiser for The Kaminsky Method. Carl Clemens Hopkins for Hacks. I actually wouldn't be too surprised if one of the Saturday Night Live performers takes it this year.
I wouldn't be surprised.
A lot of times those ones actually win.
Kate McKinnon is solid. I like her. Cecily Strong as well.
Yeah, we're still on the supporting actor though, so it would be
Kenan
Bowen
Thompson.
Yang and Kenan Thompson.
I was just looking at actress. But whatever. I mean, it's all the same shows on these two categories.
Outstanding supporting actress: Kate McKinnon for Saturday Night Live, Cicely Strong for Saturday Night Live, Adie Bryant for Saturday Night Live, Rosie Perez for The Flight Attendant, Hannah Einbender for Hacks, Hannah Waddingham for Ted Lasso, Juno Temple for Ted Lasso. Of these, my favorite would probably be either Rosie Perez for Flight Attendant. She is actually genuinely great in that role. Or Kate McKinnon in Saturday Night Live, who's always been great on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. And here's where I get super biased.
Outstanding limited series. When we were first going through the list, both of us were kind of like, where the fuck is WandaVision? Well, here it is. Mare of Easttown, I May Destroy You, WandaVision, The Queen's Gambit, and The Underground Railroad are the nominated.
I mean, obviously I'm going with WandaVision.
That's mine as well. Again, it's also by default though, because I haven't really seen the others. I've seen like an episode of I May Destroy You. The Underground Railroad is getting a lot of attention right now. I've heard it's incredibly heavy though, so it's hard for people to watch. The Queen's Gambit is just straight up iconic already. So I don't know. I think might be the toughest competition for
subject matters
for the category.
Boring. It's about chess prodigy. I don't care.
Yeah, but you can't deny that show's become iconic. Like the look, everything about that.
It has. Yeah, it has.
So I honestly, I think WandaVision's the only one I've seen, so that wins by default for my pick. But The Queen's Gambit and Underground Railroad are the ones I think are going to be. I don't know. I May Destroy You as well has had a lot of buzz.
I don't even know what that is.
Actually, you know what? All of these shows have had a lot of buzz for like Emmy buzz, except WandaVision.
Yeah,
WandaVision probably has the least buzz of all of these shows when it comes to Emmys. I don't know what's going to take it. I don't think it's going to be WandaVision, but that's the one I'd pull for just because it's the one I've seen.
It was such a unique premise.
Yeah.
It really was pretty unique.
The one area where it might actually be a real contender is the fact that the two things that Hollywood loves is British period pieces and shows about Hollywood. And in a sense, WandaVision is about sitcoms. It's about old sitcoms.
That's right. Well, we're going to see WandaVision did get like a lot of nominations. So clearly they loved it.
Yeah. Outstanding television movie, Uncle Frank.
I have no comment on this. I haven't seen any of these and none of them even sound interesting.
Uncle Frank, Sylvie's Love, Oslo, Robin Roberts Presents
Mahalia? I don't know.
And Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square. I think the only one of those I've even heard about is Dolly Parton's Christmas on the Square.
Can't wait to watch.
Because I think that was on Netflix or something.
Square.
Yeah. Haven't seen any of those. So next category, outstanding lead actor in a limited series or movie, Paul Bettany for WandaVision, Hugh Grant for The Undoing, Ewan McGregor for Halston, Lin-Manuel Miranda for Hamilton, and Leslie Odom Jr. for Hamilton. I don't know why Hamilton's in here. It was literally a taped play.
Yeah, it's not a series. Well, it's a series or movie, so they're kind of fudging it.
Even still as a movie, it's not
they're kind of like, okay, let's just.
They didn't film it like a movie. They literally just filmed the stage performance.
Yeah, but when they do that, like it's literally a movie at that point.
I mean, I liked Hamilton. Lin-Manuel Miranda actually gets kind of dismissed a lot for Hamilton as being kind of like the weakest performer. He's kind of more like a writer than he is a performer, you know?
Right.
Ewan McGregor got a lot of attention for Halston. Like that, was heavily promoted on his back.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the only one I've seen here is, besides Hamilton, which I don't really
I'm
think
going with Paul
should be up
Bettany
here,
for WandaVision.
is Paul Bettany in WandaVision.
I'm being biased.
Yeah.
Though, like, next one is what I'd really give it to.
Outstanding lead actress in a limited series or movie, Kate Winslet for Mira of Easttown, Michaela Cole for I May Destroy You, Anna Taylor-Joy for The Queen's Gambit, Elizabeth Olsen for WandaVision, Cynthia Erivo for Genius Aretha. Yeah, I would go for Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah, it's Elizabeth Olsen all day long.
I think she gave an amazingly emotional performance. It was really strong. The other ones that I could see getting some buzz, though, are Anna Taylor-Joy for The Queen's Gambit. That got a lot of attention when it came out. And Kate Winslet for Mira of Easttown. She's been getting a lot of attention recently.
Right.
For that. I think those are the contenders.
Yeah, those are, yeah, I think you're correct.
And normally I don't think the Marvel stuff would really contend, but I think Elizabeth Olsen would contend. On this one. Outstanding supporting actress in a limited series or movie. We have Jean Smart for Mare of Easttown, Julianne Nicholson for Mare of Easttown, Catherine Hahn for WandaVision, Philippa Sue for Hamilton, Renee Elise Goldsberry for Hamilton, Moses Ingram for The Queen's Gambit. I'm really kind of unfamiliar with everyone here except Catherine Hahn.
I want to give it to Catherine Hahn again
by default.
She was so great.
Yeah, and Catherine Hahn is actually, she did get a lot of attention too when WandaVision was out. She's been one of those actresses that's in small roles for a long time that people have loved, and like they know her name and they love her and stuff, but because it's always small roles, she usually doesn't get that much attention, and she got a lot for WandaVision, so I could actually see her being a real contender. I'm not really too familiar with anybody else here except Jean Smart. Next up is Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Limited Series or Movie. And this is the Hamilton trade. Daveed Diggs, Jonathan Groff, Anthony Ramos, all for Hamilton. Thomas Brody Sangster for The Queen's Gambit. Evan Peters for Mayor of Easttown. He was also in WandaVision, but wasn't nominated there.
No.
And Papa
probably for the
Asada
best.
For
he wasn't that great in WandaVision. I'm going to be honest.
I think it was pretty funny.
he was pretty funny, but I wouldn't call that like an Emmy, like worthy of an Emmy. His performance in Mayor of Easttown is probably more worthy, so probably better that he was nominated for that.
I'm going to go for Daveed Diggs here for Hamilton.
Okay.
I still don't like the idea of Hamilton being in this category, but Daveed Diggs played both Thomas Jefferson and Lafayette in Hamilton, and he was really good. He was like the scene stealer of the whole show in both of those characters, especially as Thomas Jefferson. He was a total scene stealer. Jonathan Groff is the main guy in Mindhunter. He played the king in Hamilton, like the King of England. He was really good as well, except that he was spitting when he was singing. It was pretty crazy. But I'd probably go with Daveed Diggs. That would be my pick there.
Okay.
Next up is Outstanding Guest Actor in a Drama Series. Courtney B. Vance for Lovecraft Country, Charles Dance for The Crown, Don Cheadle for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Timothy Olyphant for The Mandalorian, and Carl Weathers for The Mandalorian as well.
Oh man, definitely Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle was just there for all of about a minute.
Yeah. He delivered some basic dialogue.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
He did not do anything, he did not have to do a heavy acting or anything.
Yeah.
I don't know, I saw an IGN headline said Don Cheadle is just as confused as you are about his Emmy nom.
Pretty much.
I'm gonna be biased. I love Timothy Olyphant. I loved his character in The Mandalorian. I want to see more of that character. I wish Disney announced a spinoff for his character instead of trying to do a spinoff for what's her name? I
know what you're talking about.
Right.
I can't think of it either. But Courtney B. Vance, though, in Lovecraft Country, that was the uncle in the first two episodes.
I loved his character. I was pissed off when they killed him off.
He's the other one. When I said that there were two characters from Lovecraft Country that really got my attention.
Yes.
I said it was Michael Kay for who played the father, and Courtney B. Vance who played the uncle. Those are the two. So he'd be my pick to win this. I love Timothy Olyphant, but I
love Timothy Olyphant.
I don't think his performance was as strong as Courtney B. Vance's.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm fair, but I'm still going with my pick.
And Charles Dance is great. I just haven't seen his role in The Crown, but that's Tywin Lannister.
Yeah, that's Tywin Lannister.
So great actor. Just I'm not familiar with this role for him. Outstanding guest actress in a drama series, Alexis Waddell for The Handmaid's Tale, McKenna Grace for The Handmaid's Tale, Claire Foy for The Crown, Felicia Rashad for This Is Us, and Sophie Okonedo for Ratched. I think Claire Foy is probably going to end up winning this, and I haven't seen any of these, so.
No, I don't have an opinion on that. This is all Saturday Night Live and the Kaminsky I don't care about who's hosting Saturday Night Live. Skip.
Outstanding guest actor in a comedy series. Yeah. They're all Saturday Night Live in the Kaminsky Method. I mean, I guess, just give it to Morgan Freeman, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, Morgan Freeman's awesome. Pretty great. Just give it to him.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. Let's just do it.
Outstanding guest actress in a comedy series. Maya Rudolph for Saturday Night Live. Kristen Wiig for Saturday Night Live. Issa Rae for a Black Lady sketch show. Jane Addams for Hack. Bernadette Peters for Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. Yvette Nicole Brown for a Black Lady sketch show. Again, haven't seen any of these performances except for Saturday Night Live. My picks is just based on the people. I love Maya Rudolph and Yvette Nicole Brown are both great. Yvette Nicole Brown was in a Community, and Maya Rudolph was, she was the judge in The Good Place. That's like a recent one of hers.
Yeah. Obviously, Maya Rudolph.
The only ones I've seen are Saturday Night Live, so I guess I'd say Maya Rudolph.
I've watched Maya Rudolph on Saturday Night Live before, so yeah, I guess.
Outstanding variety sketch series, a Black Lady sketch show, Saturday Night Live. Really don't think either deserve it. I saw like one episode of Black Lady sketch show, and I've seen a few bits and sketches and stuff for Saturday Night Live. I think Saturday Night Live might be in one of its worst seasons ever.
Saturday Night Live, I'm going to say, flat out sucks. I'm not going to, no.
A Black Lady sketch show really didn't do anything for me.
I haven't seen it.
There were quite a few sketch shows on Netflix. I'm surprised they only have 2 categories here. Netflix had like 6 sketch shows last year.
You know what? I'm just going to say it. It's probably because I don't think the Emmys gives a shit about sketch shows. Like Saturday Night Live is probably so prominent here because it's pop culture, it's mainstream.
Netflix had a bunch though. I Think You Should Leave got a lot of attention.
They're not
that Australian show, the one that got a lot of attention too.
Nobody on the Emmys is going to go out of their way to watch fucking niche sketch shows on Netflix. They don't give a shit, so that's why.
Next category, outstanding variety talk series: Conan, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, Jimmy Kimmel Live, and Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
So difficult because I love Stephen Colbert. I love John Oliver. His show is super great and super important. But I gotta give it to my boy Conan.
He never gets nominated. It's
never gets nominated. It's only fair that he gets it.
Yeah, he's so good, and he never gets nominated, and it's not right.
Yeah, it's not right. I mean, and he deserves it. Come on.
John Oliver would be the one that would be. It would be hard for me because he's probably still the favorite to win.
I love
John
Oliver.
The fact that Conan's retiring from his.
I love John Oliver. I love his show, but I just love Conan more. Sorry, John.
And Conan did retire this year from his regular variety show.
Yes.
He's going to be doing something else on HBO Max, but it's not going to be the same kind of format that he's been doing for 20 plus years, Conan has not been treated properly by the Emmys or any of these award shows, and it's kind of bullshit. I've seen so many shows getting nominations and Conan doesn't. Jimmy Fallon's nominated, but Conan's not. It's what the fuck is that?
Jimmy Fallon sucks. I'm gonna say right now, Jimmy Fallon fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Conan's been putting out top tier content for freaking decades.
Yeah.
That is how he never got an Emmy nomination before this year is bullshit.
I think he's probably going to win too, just because this is his retirement year.
Yeah, hopefully.
And that kind of seems to play.
They're not going to Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel sucks.
I like Jimmy Kimmel too. I think everybody here is good.
I like it. He's not Jimmy Fallon, but I don't know. I like him.
He's still named Jimmy.
he's just really bland. He's just really bland.
I like everybody here. I think I would have put
his comedy style is very middle of the road. I don't know.
I would have put Seth Meyers over Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Trevor Noah, actually.
I like Trevor Noah.
I think he was actually better during the pandemic stuff than he was before.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I think his pandemic shows have been really good. And,
his pandemic.
And John Oliver is just fucking fantastic always.
Yeah, John Oliver is just freaking amazing.
But Conan's he deserves it.
Yeah, John Oliver is amazing, but Conan is Conan.
Yeah,
Conan
deserves
in my mind, Conan is the king.
Yeah, and he deserves a win.
He'll always be the king.
Yeah,
and he deserves it.
Next up, outstanding competition program: The Amazing Race, Nailed It, RuPaul's Drag Race, Top Chef, and The Voice. I don't watch any of these.
I don't watch these shows. These shows are okay, no, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say all these shows are. I just don't like reality competition. I just don't like that genre to begin with. So I'm not going to watch these. The thing I'd mostly be interested in, I guess, would be Top Chef, just because cooking interests me to a degree.
If you're going to watch any of those, watch Nailed It. Nailed It is also a cooking show, but it's basically people that are fucking up.
Oh, really?
So the Nailed It's kind of sarcastic.
From the title, I thought it was like about like a freaking nail salon or something.
No, it's, Nailed It is like sarcastic in the title. It's remember in The Good Place when they got to heaven and the one like postal worker there?
Yes.
She's the host of Nailed It, and it's basically a reality cooking competition where they have to like create these like crazy, cakes and stuff like that. It's always like baked stuff like cakes, and they're bad. They're not good.
I guess. I don't know. Maybe,
and so it's got kind of sarcasm on its side there.
Hey, watch that for Schadenfreude or something.
Yeah, but it's not mean. It's just kind of funny, So that one's good.
And again, by the same token, I don't care about the next because it's just host for the same programs that we just discussed.
Yeah, where's Jeff from Survivor? That's the only one I would do.
Yeah, right.
I guess I'd give this to Nicole Byer for Nailed It just because.
I'd probably give it to RuPaul. RuPaul's pretty entertaining. RuPaul's an entertaining person, but that's it.
That's, again, neither of us really watch any of those.
I don't watch any of these shows. Yeah, I don't watch reality TV.
I've seen some of them like Nailed It and Top Chef, just like my mom's watching it or something, and I walk in the room and she's watching it.
The only cooking shows I ever watched were Gordon Ramsay stuff and like Iron Chef. Japanese Iron Chef when that was on the Food Network.
Yeah, the American one's shit.
And the American one sucks. Yeah.
All right. So that's it for the Emmys. We clearly haven't watched many of the shows that were nominated.
Like I said, like I'm obviously not an Emmy voter because I didn't go out of my way to watch like most of the stuff.
Do you think many of the Emmy voters bother?
I don't know.
They get sent screeners. They probably watch like one episode.
They probably watch the screener they get, and their entire opinion is based around that. I know, like they sat through like entire seasons of like all these shows.
Yeah, it's very unlikely.
Yeah,
some of them probably didn't even watch the screeners. They just voted purely based either on politics or because they like somebody.
Yeah, it's probably politics, or they're like, oh yeah.
And by politics, I don't mean like American government politics. I mean
it's like Hollywood politics.
Yeah, Hollywood politics.
Yeah.
Like we voted based on politics for Conan because
there are biases.
Yeah, exactly.
Biases, like especially like you said, the Emmy voter block is traditionally Anglo-centric.
Yeah. So our next news story is something that you and I talked about. I don't think we did it on a podcast, though. I think we just talked amongst ourselves, like either before or after one of the podcasts.
Forgot what this was about. Like, go ahead.
This is Netflix getting involved in video games. And so they've already gotten involved in games, but it was always like they just licensed out to different companies to make games on existing systems and mobile.
Right. Oh,
it wasn't a real game strategy. It was like, oh, there's an old beat 'em up style Stranger Things game coming to the Switch kind of thing,
Oh yeah, that doesn't count. That's completely different.
Yeah, that was their involvement in video games.
We're talking about before. Netflix streaming games through their service.
Yeah, the other thing Netflix has done that I guess could be called a game, or like their choose your own adventure style things that they've had on there.
Those
like
are
the
barely games.
Bandersnatch for Black Mirror and that and the Kimmy Schmidt one and
those are as
Grylls
much
one
of a game as like freaking Sewer Shark on Sega CD or something.
Which means still counted as a game.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you count it as a game. They're more like interactive TV shows.
But this is a move towards real games. And I remember when you and I talked about, because it was talking about Netflix being more involved in games in like May. And I think most people were thinking about it as doing more of the stuff they had been doing with like the Stranger Things game on the Switch, like that that they were going to be doing more of that is what a lot of people kind of, I think, thought it meant. But when you and I were talking about it was like, we were saying, I think we both kind of came to the revelation that like Netflix is kind of uniquely positioned. Like they don't even have to make that many games. And the reason they're uniquely positioned is because in order to do game streaming right, all you need is the app to show up on a TV somewhere or a screen somewhere where you can actually see it. And you need a controller to control the game with. Stadia has proven that you don't need to link the controller to your device that you're watching it on. You can literally just get a controller that connects to Wi-Fi and just goes through the same account, and there doesn't have to be any link to the actual device you're watching with. They're separate links, That's the way the Stadia controller works. And they're like, well, they're not the most successful in streaming. They're probably have the best tech in streaming.
Yeah.
So that shows that, which means that basically all all Netflix has to do is put out a controller for, a Wi-Fi based controller. And then they have like a larger inbuilt potential audience than any of the other game streaming companies by like a significant margin,
Right.
And since they're not initially sending it off to its own like price tier, like its own separate service, since it's going to be part of the original Netflix thing.
Right. Because I think like you pointed out, like Netflix's advantage is they already have a subscriber base. They're already in all these homes on all these devices. Splintering this off to its separate service would put it in square one with Stadia and xCloud and our streaming services and kind of lose that advantage.
They also, I think Netflix is better positioned for local data centers than anybody else, even like Microsoft or Google, because they've literally put servers into the ISPs.
Yeah.
They've gone to ISPs like Spectrum and, places like that and said, hey, instead of paying for a bandwidth to transfer between you and there, what if we just rent out a server at your location? And then it just gets to the customer quicker. It uses less bandwidth and we'll work out a deal directly with you. And they've done that with quite a few ISPs in order to make it like faster and better Netflix service, which is part of the reason why Netflix is one of the best streaming techs, because they have that like right into the servers at your ISP, which means if they can keep up those same contracts and put in some of their gaming servers in there, then they're going to be like really more local than most of these other ones are. And with game streaming, how close you are is huge.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I also think they don't even need to do that many games because it's tied in on the Netflix service. They don't have to go oh, we need to get together like 100 games for this launch or something. They don't need to worry about that, Like Game Pass does. Game Pass is like, we need tons of games to do this. Stadia had to build that up over time and they're just not doing well with it. Luna, same thing. All these other like streaming ones, they have to like build up a huge library. Netflix could put out like 2 or 3 in like a year and just let that be it. And they'd be perfectly fine because they're not selling the subscription service separate from the regular streaming. And there's certain ones that they already have a connection to, a tie to. So like, what if, for example, they got Witcher 3? That would make sense, wouldn't it?
So here's the big question. Like, how are they going to implement it? Is it going to be like a Stadia thing where they're going to have a store and you buy games? That sitting next to their movie library that you just click on a movie and watch it would feel very incongruent.
Well, what they're saying here is that this is a quote from a different story here where it says the idea is to offer video games on Netflix's streaming platform within the next year, which means
right. But what does that mean?
Well, I believe that would mean it would just be included in the same way anything else is on Netflix.
Right. And that's the question. Is that going to be the case?
I think it is. I think that's their initial plan because the way they're talking about it is that that would be part of the regular.
To me, that would be smart.
Yeah.
To me, like if they actually do that, that would be, in my opinion, that would be how Stadia should have approached it from the beginning. I think Stadia went with the biggest mistake they made was expecting people to pay a subscription to get 4K and then buy games off of the service. Like, I get that they have like the monthly free games, but it's like, it should have just been you pay the money for subscription and you browse through a library of games that you can click on any one of them and play it. It should have been that from the beginning.
The whole game claiming thing is similar to like Audible. Audible does the same thing. You pay a monthly rate and you get a credit every month and you can use that to buy a book. It's similar. It's not exactly the same because you don't get to choose.
And who gives a shit
games.
about Audible?
I love Audible, but
I've used Audible. It's a good service, but I'm just saying, like,
but Audible's super niche,
right?
And that's the reason why.
That was my point when I said that.
Yeah, they can't just say, okay, we're just going to put all the audiobooks just on Audible as a subscription rate like Netflix style. They can't really do that because the user base is too niche, and that would be the book companies would complain. They wouldn't be okay with that, They wouldn't be able to pay them enough. But this, with Netflix's existing user base and gaming as being as big of an industry as it is, like the best bet is just a straight subscription service, which is like what Game Pass does and what Luna's doing now, even though theirs isn't that great either. But Netflix is just uniquely positioned, though. Like I said, they don't even need that many games because it's part of an existing service.
Right.
Like they don't have to. They could put out a single game and go, hey, this game's available. And people aren't going to go, oh, that's not enough. I'm not going to subscribe. They're already subscribed.
But the question is, if they add a la carte game streaming to their existing service,
I don't think that's going to be the case.
They don't raise the price. how are they funding it? Where's the money coming from?
Well, I mean,
games?
Netflix is spending over $8 billion a year on content already.
Right,
so
right.
When does this
company become profitable is the question, though.
I don't think that that's going to be an issue. And like I said, I don't think they need to invest that much because I don't think they need that many games. And they don't even need to compete on the, and at least initially on like new games. I think a smart move would be like the first game they should put up there should be Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Because they already have Witcher on their service.
That's probably going to be the first game to show up because they got the show. That's just synergy.
Exactly. And they announced recently that the Witcher 3 next gen revision that's coming is going to have DLC based on the Netflix show.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense. Like that's like, if they don't do that, then something's wrong. If they don't do this license Witcher 3 for this service that they're going to be doing, then they're doing something wrong. That's like how much sense that makes. And like I said, I don't think they need to put that many games up. They could just do a few because they're already relying on the backbone of Netflix as a service itself. So they don't have to push it, at least initially. They can just have a few here and there and be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I would totally buy a controller, you know, if they put out a Wi-Fi controller for Netflix. I mean, I would buy it with the expectation that there's certain things that I would get on it. I've been wanting to play Witcher 3 for a while. I've been like, maybe I should get it on the Switch. It's not on Stadia. I don't have one of the other systems. My computer's not up to snuff. So it would either be Stadia or Switch. It's on Switch. It's not on Stadia, but the Switch version's pretty low, low end. I really don't want that to be my experience. I would probably buy a controller just basically expecting that Witcher 3 was going to end up on it because it makes too much sense. But yeah, I mean, I think they're uniquely positioned, and unless they just completely botch this, it could end up being like a really smart move for them. I mean, I guess the only other thing to this news story is that they hired Mike Verdu, who formerly worked at EA and also at Facebook Oculus.
Yeah, so they hired a guy who specializes in mobile apps.
Well, he also worked for Oculus, so it's like...
Yeah, Oculus, who cares?
So that means VR too, which is... Are they going to be pushing into VR?
No, they're not.
Oh, no. That would be weird. That would be the wrong choice, I think.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what they do. We'll see how this develops, see what comes out of this.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And we talked about it without any evidence that they were going to go in this direction long ago, saying it would be incredibly smart.
What this tells me is Netflix wants to be the number one streaming service.
They just want all of your attention.
They want to be the number one streaming service, and they see these game streaming services coming up, potentially threatening them. Games do compete with movies and television shows for people's time.
Exactly.
And so why not add games to the platform so that you can just have people on Netflix doing whatever, no matter what?
We've heard companies like Nintendo, for example, have said before that they're not just competing with Microsoft and Sony, but with Netflix and Amazon and anything that kind of gets your eyeballs, basically.
Yeah.
And so basically, this would be Netflix doing it. Netflix is also usually pretty ahead of the game in a lot of things. So
they're very forward thinking. Yeah, to get on it now is a smart move. They're not waiting. They're not waiting for other players to be established.
And it all just depends on how they execute.
Yeah.
Are they going to do this right? If they do it right, it could be monumentally successful. If they do it wrong, it could be one of the first big embarrassments for the company.
That's the key. It's the execution. Google Stadia had all the potential in the world, but they botched the execution big time.
Yeah. Luna botched it as well with Amazon.
Yeah.
They kind of didn't brand it really that well and didn't advertise it or promote it well.
Amazon barely promoted Luna, Jesus Christ.
They just kind of put it out there to die without any attention.
Amazon, I see all these stories about Amazon wants to get into gaming, Amazon's developing this MMO, Amazon's doing this, but you never hear about that stuff outside the news articles announcing it. They announced Amazon shelved their MMO they had going the New World, but I've never seen a single advertisement anywhere for that game.
Yeah.
Is it surprised it freaking flopped?
I mean, it's probably really early in development too. I mean, that was when Stadia closed.
They released it. They released it and had people playing it.
Oh shit!
They released it.
I didn't even know that was out.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, they released it. They had people playing it, and then they canceled it and just put it back on the shelf and said something about we have to rework it. And I haven't heard anything about that game since. Yeah. It's dead. You're I didn't know. It's that's kind of the problem.
Well, let's move on to our last story, our last news story, which is that, and I already kind of jumped the lead on this at the beginning of the podcast.
Yes, you did. Oh, you're so bad.
Loki is going to have a second season. This was officially confirmed in the, I guess, using, air quotes, post-credit scene for the Loki season finale. But yeah, the post-credit scene was just a rubber stamp hitting a file that said season 2.
Yeah, but you didn't even need that, because the way it ended, there was no resolution to story.
Yeah.
Ending. It was a big cliffhanger, it was a huge cliffhanger ending. So obviously it would be weird for a series that's supposed to be a limited one season series to end in such a big cliffhanger. WandaVision doesn't end in a cliffhanger. Falcon and Winter Soldier doesn't end in a cliffhanger. This does. So yeah, I was not surprised to see that.
Yeah, it's good news because it was a great show. So we're going to go into that now. We're going to use that as our segue to our full spoiler segment, where we're going to be talking about the season finale of Loki. So here it is, full spoilers. So, we're going to be discussing today, for all time, always, the 6th and final episode of the first season that we know is the first season of Loki. I'm just going to jump in out of order because I don't like just recapping everything. Yeah, and right off the bat, I want to say the unthinkable happened. The thing we didn't think was going to happen.
We did. We got Kang.
Yeah.
Or we got
so set up to believe that we weren't going to get something that big because of the way WandaVision ended up not having Mephisto and stuff.
Yeah, not having Mephisto, not having Doctor Strange show up, which I thought was almost certain for WandaVision, but it never happened. There were no major guest appearances or cameos in A Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That never happened. So
Don Cheadle, Emmy-nominated Don Cheadle.
Emmy-nominated, yeah, that's right. That was the incredible guest appearance that was Emmy-worthy. So I kind of pride myself for them to not do that, not have one of their upcoming major players from their film show up for a cameo. I kind of pride myself to not expect that. And I was wrong.
You see Jonathan Majors, and the second you see him, you're like, okay, we already know Jonathan Majors was cast as Kang and Ant-Man, so this is it.
Right, this is it. If you didn't know that news, I guess then you went, put it together. The word Kang is never used at all in the episode, by the way. He never refers to himself.
Yeah, last episode we got Kang on the building with a Q.
Yeah.
But nothing was named Kang. They did mention...
Although this is a...
Conqueror is a title that he has.
He said, I've been called many things, but it's complicated because this isn't actually Kang the Conqueror, air quotes, because this is a different version of Kang. From what I understand...
Well, it looks like they lumped Kang and He Who Remains together.
From what I understand, this is what we see here in Loki is a different version of Kang than what we're going to see in Ant-Man. Because he explains the whole thing to the Lokis of why he's doing what he's doing with the timeline. And he explained because, according to him, he was the one who originally discovered the multiverse. And he met other versions of himself from the other universes, and most of them were like him, and they were friendly, and they worked together. But as they kept exploring various universes, he found more aggressive variants of himself who were not interested in the greater good, but more interested in conquering, hence Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah. He did mention, though, when he went through a stream of his past nicknames or whatever, and he did say the Conqueror is one of them.
Yeah. But then that would assume that he attempted to conquer himself. But he doesn't paint that as his identity. He paints himself as one of the good Kangs.
Yeah.
Right? That's how he presents himself. We don't exactly know that for sure, but there's no evidence to suggest otherwise. And again, we know he's not the same Kang that shows up in Ant-Man because he gets straight up murdered by Sylvie. after a great fight with Loki, by the way.
Yeah. I did a whole Loki versus Loki slightly reality bending fight. That was pretty cool. A lot of characters warping in and out of places and stuff.
And the fight is because he tells them the story that it's because other versions of Kang started wars, and these various variants of Kang have been fighting multiversal wars, and that he was able to, kind of corral them and take control of the timeline.
Well, he said he weaponized Alioth, which is
that's
smoke
right.
monster thing.
Yeah, he used Alioth to take control, to end the wars, basically. He probably killed a bunch of kings with Alioth. That's the only... And he used Alioth to basically end the wars, and he corralled the timelines, and he snipped the multiverse into one single timeline that he's been trying very hard to maintain this whole time. Mm-hmm. And this goes back to what Kevin Feige has said previously about Loki. He said Loki would be like a major influence on the MCU going forward. And yeah, because we actually see the birth of the multiverse.
Well, the thing is, our previous information about what the multiverse was has always been like misleading. Like the first time we heard about it was in Spider-Man Far From Home. And that turned out to be just like a cover story straight up. No reality to it at all.
Yeah.
And then we got an idea that it could be what's happening in WandaVision, and that turned out not to be the case.
Yeah, that turned out not to be the case. Yeah, so there's actually been no actual multiverse, because as Loki explains, every time something happens that would branch off into another universe,
Kang snips it.
Yeah, the TVA, under the direction of Kang, is right there to snip it, to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And so there hasn't really been a multiverse, but after Kang is killed by Sylvie, we see all the timeline branching out in all different directions.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because you see at the very beginning of the episode, they do this thing where it follows the timeline that goes kind of around in a circle around the location where Kang is.
Yes.
Like a half circle kind of around it. And then it's like the smooth single line. And then by the end, when he's dead, it's just like a wall of light all around, because there's so much scattering and so many forks in the timeline that it's just become immeasurable.
Yes. I saw a really good theory on, I think, Twitter, who showed like a picture from the end of WandaVision when Wanda hears her sons, and they show the picture of a branching timeline, and they suggested, I wonder if this is the moment when the timeline starts branching is the same moment when Wanda hears her sons.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. I mean, I still think that, hearing her sons was like Mephisto fucking with her.
It could be.
We still haven't even
But then again, the movie that continues that story is literally called The Multiverse of Madness.
True.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's definitely like the next, I think after Shang-Chi and the Eternals, all the Marvel movies are pretty much focused on multiverse.
Yeah, because after Eternals we have, I'm not sure the exact order, but I think I don't know the order, but
Ant-Man is definitely...
It's Ant-Man Quantumania, which directly involves Kang as the main villain.
Uh-huh.
So that's multiverse. Again, Spider-Man Far From Home, we know that's multiverse.
That's coming out the end of this year, so I think that's the first one.
Okay, yeah, that's actually coming out. So that's the first one, actually. Yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home, that's multiverse. We know that from casting. We know Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man 2 is reprising his role in that movie.
Yeah, not just him. There's lots of rumors about
Jamie Foxx from Electro.
It's pretty much confirmed that Tobey Maguire's in it.
Has it been? He's denied. They've been denying.
I said it's pretty much confirmed. He's on the location they're filming at.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. There's been pictures of him.
They've been heavily denying any other Spider-Man appear in that movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, it's obvious. And then Ant-Man Quantumania, and of course Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Again, it's in the title. It would be very disappointing if there was no multiverse in that movie, literally named Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. Which is interesting because the way the TVA described the multiverse kind of was basically saying that it was mad, that everything was out of control and stuff, until the TVA stepped in and corrected it or something. And so that gave more weight to the name Multiverse of Madness than it had when we first heard it.
Well, it's interesting too with Kang being the main villain, because this version of Kang, I guess you could call him Kang Prime, since he seems to be the main MCU. Since Jonathan Majors in this episode seems to be the main MCU version of Kang, which means that the Kang we're getting in Ant-Man is an alternate reality Kang from a universe apart from the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
He described it as, there's all these evil Kangs from different universes causing these wars, and he tells Sylvie and Loki if they kill him, they're gonna unleash all those different Kangs. It's not gonna just be one evil Kang. It's gonna be an infinite number of them.
So
is the warning he gives.
So here's my confusion a little bit, and it also kind of ties into a theory I might have here.
Right.
Is that Kang's kind of like a cosmic being in the comics, isn't he?
Yeah, I believe
so. Whereas they implied that this Kang is just a straight up human.
Yeah, they implied he's a human. He says he's like a scientist from Earth,
Yeah. But in the comics, I believe he's like a straight up cosmic being, like on the level of like a Thanos or even more so, maybe.
I mean,
almost like on the level of like a Mephisto, I think. So where this comes into a theory is, do you think that the Kangs are going to like kind of like merge somehow? Because
no.
they already touched on the idea of a Nexus being in WandaVision. Like they referred to her as a Nexus being, you know? And in the comics, she's a Nexus being.
Actually, no. Actually, I'm looking at his biography, and he does start out human.
He starts human, but he starts
out
way, right?
Nathaniel Richards, a 31st century scholar and a possible descendant of Reed Richards, becomes fascinated with history and discovers the time travel technology created by Victor Von Doom. He then travels back in time to ancient Egypt, something. Apocalypse is involved. I mean, yes. So basically, yeah, he starts out as a normal human, and basically all his powers accrued through time travel.
Mm-hmm. I think the way they might end up doing that is by having him become like a Nexus being, basically merging with all of his infinite versions of himself.
It says here that really he becomes King the Conqueror because he tries to return to his home time of the 31st century, but he overshoots that by 1,000 years, ends up in a war-torn Earth that uses advanced weapons that nobody no longer understands. And because of that, he finds it very simple to conquer the planet, and he expands his dominion throughout the galaxy and reinvents himself from Nathaniel Richards to King the Conqueror.
It'll be interesting to see, because I think he's going to have more appearances than just an Ant-Man in this phase. So. I think we're going to see more of him in some of these other movies.
Yeah, so the depiction of him as human is correct.
Yeah.
In this, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see like what they end up doing with him, how they end up making him more threatening, and if they're just going to do it by having them just be that there's so many of him and that he just has knowledge, or if they're going to like push that into something else.
Right. And again, like if this version of Kang that we saw here is to be correct, the variants that are coming aren't ones to be messed with, you know?
Yeah, they're not lovable, huggable Kang.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be really interesting to see Jonathan Majors' performance, comparing his performance in Loki here to his performance in Ant-Man, because it's essentially going to be two different characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's going to...
Or more than two. We don't know if he's only playing one Kang in Ant-Man, you know?
That's true, yeah, because it's called Quantumania, so it could involve multiple Kangs. We don't know. We don't know the script for that movie. But yeah, it's super exciting. So yeah, this is the way that Loki changes the MCU, radically changes the MCU.
Yeah, this is by far the most impactful event that has occurred within the Disney Plus shows.
Yes.
By measures of magnitude, you know? But yeah, let's talk about some of the other stuff that was going on in this episode. One is that we know Miss Minutes, which I think was kind of obvious to everybody, is basically second in command, basically to Kang.
Yeah, she was basically doing Kang's bidding the whole time. She was, you know, like Ravonna. Ravonna thought, you know, she was writing the show, but Ravonna was actually, and by her own admission, in several instances, was absolutely clueless about, you know, what she's doing or what she's supposed to be doing. So Ravonna was really just doing what she thought was the best thing to do in the absence of like any direction from above her. But Miss Minutes actually knew. Miss Minutes was actually getting marching orders directly from Kang, and Miss Minutes was kind of manipulating things at the TVA. Very sneakily, you know, like very subtly, you know, she's kind of like, I can imagine, you don't see it a lot, but I can imagine like Miss Minutes was probably like talking a lot in Ravonna's ear, you know, and giving her suggestions.
Yeah, manipulating the flow of information.
Yeah, we see that very early when Miss Minutes gives Ravonna like a bunch of files, and Ravonna says, you know, this isn't what I asked for. And she says, I know, but you'll find it very interesting, trust me, you know.
We also got, as you'd mentioned, Ravonna, we got more of her. We actually got to kind of see her before she was taken in as a variant. Hunter B-15, played by Wunmi Masaku from Lovecraft Country, that is the one that didn't get an Emmy nomination. Kind of surprising to me a little bit, because she was one of the better performers in that show. But she plays Hunter B-15 in this show, and she like lured some
of the other
TVA agents, some of the hunters.
Some of the hunters to that time to convince them that they're very, you know, to convince them of the truth.
By showing Ravonna Renslayer.
Yes.
So that was interesting, the way they tied that in, because you just see her show up and the other hunters like, oh, leader, you know, chief, whatever. Yeah, and she's like, what are you talking about? What are you doing in my classroom? And
yeah, exactly. We got some great scenes with Ravonna and Mobius, you know, hashing out their relationship issues. So it's unclear, like, because Ravonna gets the upper hand over Mobius again, but she, you know...
pretty quickly,
but she declines to prune Mobius again.
Yeah.
Because she still has feelings for him, you know, as a friend.
But she takes off in a time window, and we don't see her again. So it's unclear where she went or what she did, because we don't see her go to where the Lokis are.
I totally thought we were going to.
Yeah, I totally thought we were going to, but we don't. So we don't see her again for the rest of the episode. So we actually have no idea where she went or what she's doing.
Yeah, that's a season 2 issue.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of cliffhangers unresolved for this to be a one season show. They're not tying up Ravonna's plotline in freaking Ant-Man. It's just no way.
Yeah. The other kind of interesting thing that happens is that at the very end, after the timelines are all flipped, we cut to Loki, who had been kicked through a time portal by Sylvie.
Again, I should point out, like, Loki was fighting Sylvie because Kang gave his warning, and he gave them the choices, you can take over the TVA for me and manage the timeline, or you could kill me and unleash an army of evil Kangs who are not going to be fun to deal with. And Loki took that seriously. But still, Sylvie didn't buy it. Sylvie thinks he's lying about that. He's just trying to save his ass. Sylvie has trust issues, and I love this scene too when they're fighting, because Loki's trying to convince her that he doesn't think Kang is lying, and she just assumes that Loki's be lying.
He's just making a play for power.
He's making a play for power. That Loki, okay, this was your plan all along, right? To
glorious purpose.
Yeah, Sylvie's just like, this was your plan all along, to get to the end of time, to get to the person running the show and take power from him. And that's all you needed me for, right?
Yeah.
And he's trying to convince her no, but they kept lying. It's like, okay, she has trust issues, and he is a known liar.
Yeah, they put it really well. He said the way he said it was, he's all, because you can't trust, and I can't be trusted.
Yes, that was the line. It was a great line.
Yeah, that was really cool. She kicked him through a portal. It seemed like he finally got through to her, and I think in a way he did. But she said basically but I'm not you, or I'm
not you. Yeah, he might have got through to her, but she still was going to kill Kang. She was dead set. That was her mission from the beginning, and she was dead set on completing that mission. Nothing was going to get in her way, apparently, least of all Loki. And so, she got rid of him, and she did the thing. She killed Kang, or at least this version of Kang.
Yeah, so she kills Kang. We see the timelines all branch out. Then we see Loki, and he's where he got left off after sitting a while, basically sulking for a little bit. He finally, gets up, and he's in the TVA, and he runs and he approaches Mobius and Hunter B-15.
Yeah.
We're sitting there talking about something. They said they're talking about something about him. We need to, what did he say, or what?
They're like, what did he say? Because we see that scene where Mobius and Hunter B-15 are looking at the screen, and they're seeing all the branching multiverses and happening, and they're kind of in panic mode. And then Loki approaches them and kind of explains, Sylvie just killed Kang, at the end of time, trying to explain the situation to them. And Mobius is just slow down. First of all, who are you?
What division are you from?
What division are you from? Analyst? Yeah, are you one of our analysts? And Loki's like, what? And it's clear now that this is another universe.
Yeah, well, he looks over to where the statues were of the Time Guardian.
And it's Kang.
Yeah, there's only one statue, and it's Kang.
Yep. So he ended up in another universe version of the TVA, apparently, where they don't recognize him. And apparently Kang, they know it's Kang because they have statues of him.
It's going to be interesting to see how all this fits together, because my initial expectation about when I saw everything kind of falling apart was that, so basically Multiverse of Madness is going to end with Doctor Strange putting things right.
No,
but that can't be if there's going to be, because unless season 2 of Loki's coming much sooner than I'd anticipate, that wouldn't make sense, because then there'd be what would happen with Loki, that it has another season, it has these characters that we need to see how they fit in, and they are connected to this. Yeah, it can't happen in Multiverse of Madness unless that's coming much sooner than I thought it was.
Right. No, Multiverse is not going to end the multiverse. I think they're ever going to end the multiverse at this point. It's too rich a source of stories. Also, I forgot to mention this. What If coming out, that ties into the multiverse. That's all about the multiverse.
That is too. I believe that comes out in August.
Yeah, that comes out in August. Disney Plus, that's also all about the multiverse.
Yeah. It's moving into a multiverse direction. We have two movies that we don't think are really tied to the multiverse. Maybe they are, but we don't think they're really tied to the multiverse.
There's no indication at all that Shang-Chi or Eternals has anything to do with the multiverse.
They might, who knows? But like zero. Right now, it doesn't. There's been no reference at all.
It hasn't even been. There hasn't been no even hints, a single tease, and we already got like 2 big trailers for Shang-Chi. So it's pretty safe.
But I mean, also we didn't get the multiverse didn't fracture until just today.
I know, but they've been very clear that upcoming projects have a multiverse slant.
Yeah.
Way before we saw today's episode of Loki, so come on.
Yeah, it's very unlikely that these have anything to do with the multiverse. And then after that, pretty much everything that we've heard, even the slightest hint about what's going on with it, has multiverse implications. That's what this phase seems to be about.
Yes.
I guess maybe the one exception would be we know a little bit of information about the Marvels, and that one hasn't had any multiverse stuff yet or whatever. No, but who knows?
Neither Black Panther Wakanda Forever doesn't seem to.
We don't know anything about that.
Literally, but it's not like literally every movie going forward is going to involve the multiverse. It's just it's going to be a feature of the MCU now, and how much it figures into things is it's going to differ by the project, based on what Marvel and the people making these films want to do.
Well, what I meant about like the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness fixing things wasn't that it was going to end the multiverse, but that the multiverse has gone so chaotic now that like everything's fucked up.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the case with Spider-Man
I saw an article had a quote from Elizabeth Olsen today. I don't know if it's a new quote, but she said a Multiverse of Madness is going to be a scary film, and it's going to be the scariest Marvel film ever made.
Yeah. I mean, when they first announced that movie, they said it was going to be Marvel's first like horror film.
And people are like, yeah, but they got Sam Raimi, but like, yeah, Sam Raimi did Evil Dead.
Yeah, Sam Raimi did Drag Me to Hell,
He did Drag Me to Hell, like, yeah, Sam Raimi's perfect for a project like that.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna get Bruce Campbell too, so.
Well, and did you see the new videos that Rotten Tomato put up where Kevin Feige was talking about Phase 4?
No, I haven't watched it mostly because I'm trying to avoid Black Widow spoilers. So
okay, well, he didn't really. I don't think he really. I'd have to go over it again to make sure. I don't think he really gave anything spoilery away. But there was one bit where he was talking about Doctor Strange and about the fact that when he got his start, that was when Kevin Feige got his start. He was working basically as like an assistant to somebody for like the first Spider-Man movie under Sam Raimi, and so he basically was saying that like a lot of what he learned of like how we put the MCU together, and a lot of what he learned in filmmaking was basically from Sam Raimi, from like watching him direct and watching him put together the movie. And then he was talking about the fact that Sam Raimi coming back into the fold for the actual MCU this time and how he's being involved in it and stuff. And he was talking about, it was just interesting to hear him talk about that, So I'd encourage anybody who's listening, if you're really interested in kind of the intricacies of the MCU, check out the Kevin Feige things he did on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like 2 parts. There's like a first part that talks kind of about what's happened so far in the MCU in Phase 4, and another part that's kind of about what's coming up.
I remember
pretty interesting.
I remember in the 90s reading rumors that they were trying to do a Doctor Strange film with Wes Craven. that obviously never happened.
Yeah, sadly could never happen now.
No, sadly can never happen now, yeah.
But yeah, there's all sorts of like crazy stuff kind of in development back in the 90s before the MCU kicked off,
Oh yeah, like there were a ton, like Marvel projects that never got off the ground, that they were trying to do Iron Man with Tom Cruise like for freaking ever.
Yeah. So glad they got Robert Downey Jr. instead.
Me too. Yeah, exactly. Oh God.
It would have just been nothing but stunts.
Yeah, it would have just been. Yeah, Tom Cruise would have been terrible. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say I don't think Tom Cruise is that great of an actor. He's good at doing stunts, but I don't think he's a great actor. Sorry.
I don't think he fits the character as well as Robert Downey Jr. I think Robert Downey Jr. is like almost born to play the role of Tony Stark.
Yeah,
it's like he's so perfect in that role, and it parallels kind of his own life story in a way as well.
Yeah, in a way as well. Yeah, I think Robert Downey Jr. freaking owned that role.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it for Loki discussion. Anything else to bring up?
No, I think we covered everything.
Okay, so thank you everybody for listening to the podcast. Next week, we're going to be talking about Invincible, which we haven't discussed on the podcast yet. So look forward to that. Thank you everybody for listening. Please give us feedback. Send us, contact us on Twitter. You can reach me. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can reach Will. He is at Voxel Hero. So you can reach either of us that way, or you could leave a comment on SoundCloud or wherever else you find this, on YouTube, on the official video for it. Any way you can leave us feedback, we'd greatly appreciate it. We'd like to hear that people are listening to the show, hear what their thoughts are, what they might prefer us to be doing, if there's something they do like or don't like, or if they just want to add a comment that we can talk about later on the show. So please do give us feedback if you're listening to the show. But that's going to be it until next week. So thank you everybody for listening. Good night. And chaos.
Okay, we can stop doing that.
We can stop with the chaos.
We can stop it. Yeah, it's all.
It's chaos. Have you finally killed chaos?
No, the demo stopped working.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Little Screen. Visit our website at thetittlescreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.